So when you visualize, when you pray, when you meditate, when you know, even when if you golf and you think about where the ball is going to go and where it's going to land, you're actually putting bits of that memory gets scored into your brain chemically, and almost your brain doesn't know if it really happened or not. Okay, so now you're familiar with the reticular activation system, RAS. What is it? It's a bundle of nerves that sits at the brainstem. I call it your go and get it system. It's basically your filter, right? You're being bombarded with, I don't even know, trillions of terabytes of information at all times, right? I mean, lights, noise, people talking. I mean, we're on a rock that's spinning, or we're on a ball of fire that's on fire, or we're flying through space. I mean, nothing's static, nothing's sitting still. And so yet we think you got to go out and get this stuff. You got to go out and find it. And what it really is your reticular activation system is the dampener. It's the filter. It's the judicial system that actually discriminates out everything else than what you're focused on. So then, if you understand that, and your focus is, I want to take a sip of water. Okay. Right? Now, it's simple. It's right in front of me. I want to get a sip. I'm thirsty. I'm going to reach out and grab it. But let's say this bottle of water is in another room. Now I got to do a little more, but I want to go get that bottle of water. But it's not that I have to physically go find a bottle of water. It's I have to cut everything else out that's a distraction until I get to that bottle of water. Does that make sense?
It does.
So in a lot of cases, when you're doing these meditations and these visualization techniques, you're kind of scoring your brain with memories that when you do get closer to that, so with the way the reticular activation system really works is if you do start to focus on things or think about things a lot, then you'll start to pick up clues, right? Because then the universe will conspire with your mind and to send you bits of information. It's like the other day I needed a highlighter, and I'm just like, boom, there's a highlighter. Oh, that's crazy, right? Like, yeah. But it doesn't even faze me anymore because it's my everyday, right? Sure, it becomes intuitive decision making, right? You're just in the cash flow. I call it the cash flow state, but you're in the flow state, right? And so as your sort of reticular activator is just looking for clues. Well, if you pre-program it with some things that you might want to find, right? Nice house, nice wife, nice husband, a career, whatever, nice clothes. You start visualizing that. You do dream boards. You cut it out. You watch YouTube videos of people on jets. Now, next time you're walking through a crowded, mall, your brain, you think about all the conversation. You walk into a restaurant. How do you know what that one person's saying and not hear everybody else at the same time, right? Yep. So you're gonna walk into that restaurant and you're gonna all of a sudden go, yeah, I'm a pilot and I just bought a jet. You're gonna be like, oh, that guy's a pilot and he just bought a jet. Like you wouldn't have heard that guy, even though it was said in your presence before many times, until you made the decision that you wanted a private jet and started to do the work. You would never have heard that guy say he's a pilot that owns a private jet, or he's somehow connected to private jets. Now that clue, now you got to act on it, right? The universe will throw clues at you all day long, like, hey, Austin, hey, Now.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do? First of all, are you going to catch it? Or are you thinking about other stuff? You say you want to be successful, but you're full of tattoos. So what are you really obsessing on? Sure. Selling houses or getting body art? Right. To me, it looks like you're way more into body art than selling houses. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. Like your mind will it'll attract whatever you think about.
Every time.
Yep. And by the way, not just in the positive,
right, but in the negative.
Right? Yeah. It's a law.
And so, how do you, how do you get better at that? Is it the daily act of meditating? You said thought projecting. I think is what you said. Yeah. Meditating, thought projecting. Yeah. Is it the daily act and just doing it consistently every day of your life for a decade? I mean, what are we talking about?
So no, because here's the thing. I mean, let's just call it out. What is meditating? Meditating is the act of trying to unthink. Okay, is to clear your mind of thoughts. Well, why are people trying to meditate? I mean, why is thinking? What's wrong with thinking?
Because we're thinking about the wrong stuff all the time.
Not really. It's way more bait. And we were talking about it earlier. Okay, we were talking about when I get into cold water, what happens to the blood? It all rushes to my head, right? It forces oxygen into my brain tissue. Okay. So thinking requires oxygen. Anything that requires oxygen effectively is killing you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So thinking kills you.
Yep.
because it requires oxygen.
Quite literally, yeah.
So how do you unthink? Now, by the way, your brain is so dialed in that even when you're sleeping, your brain is like an amoeba that just wants to consume experiences. It's just like, ooh, that's a good one. I want more of that. That's bad. Get rid of that. More of this, right? And so even when you're sleeping, your brain will create experiences so that it can consume it, right? So that's dreaming. So your brain is always looking to consume experiences. So the meditative mind. Now, if you understand neurotransmitters and neuroplasticity and brain chemicals, your brain chemicals, you have about 30,000 brain chemicals. They're divided up into neuro inhibitors and exhibitors, right? Some pump you up, some calm you down. The pump up ones will always override the calm you down ones. When does your body heal? When do you repair? When you're sleeping. Why? Because your brain is in a deep wavelengths, you're getting more oxygen, your body's not taking up oxygen, moving and talking and thinking, right? So your brain gets to heal, repair itself because you're releasing meditative brain chemicals, okay? And it calms you and it heals you and you're dropping into your subconscious. Well, meditating is sort of like a sleep cheat, right? And so is cold water. And as a matter of fact, I don't meditate. I meditate in the cold because that's the fastest way for me to clear my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't have 2 hours to go hum.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I did the Joe Dispenza advanced retreat or whatever, if you're familiar with him.
A little bit.
And long meditations. I mean, I'm talking like, you got to have a lot of time on your hands. In my opinion, I loved it, right? It was cool experience. It was cool to understand that world. But I'm with you on the fact that, hey, but now is meditating...
See, if someone would have told me, like, you meditate so you can get oxygen in your brain because you need oxygen to be happy and be in a better mood, like, I'd be like, oh, I'm all in.
Wow.
But they didn't explain it that way.
And we're not taught that anywhere.
No one knows. I don't even think the people who do it know that.
Right. So where did you learn, like, I mean, I've watched a few videos by Andrew Huberman. We were talking a little bit before the show on deliberate cold exposure, deliberate heat exposure.
Yep.
You might have told me about Andrew Huberman. I think I was sitting in the sauna or the steam room at Lifetime Biltmore, and there was a couple kids in there, and I think you were talking to them, and I was eavesdropping. At the end, we talked to each other for a minute, but you were talking about Andrew Huberman.
Not kidding.
I went right home, and I pulled up Andrew. I think on my drive home, I pulled up Andrew Huberman. I listened to every episode.
Yeah, it was Christian Morales was talking about the dopamine hit piece and how to control your dopamine, which is, that's one of the last horizons.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Socratic philosophy guy. Aristotle said mastering self-discipline unlocks success. I was struggling financially and I was also unhealthy. I made it a conscious effort to focus on my health. I lost my dad at an early age. He was sort of death by 1,000 cuts, didn't take care of himself and thought he knew better than his doctor. So and then I saw myself heading down that path and then I broke my hip. And so that was the big sort of, the golden Buddha metaphor, right? Yeah. It kind of knocked me off my invincibility, and I thought I was a college athlete, and I could still eat anything I wanted, drink whatever I wanted, do whatever I wanted, but I wasn't doing the work anymore like a college athlete, right? And then I had kids, and I had a business, and I was stressed out, and I was eating McDonald's and showing houses all day, and so I was like 300 pounds.
Wow.
I'm 6'6", but today I'm 223. So I was, 6'6". This was in 2011 when I first broke my hip. So that really began. Now, see, I broke my hip, but I didn't start the health journey until 2016.
Wow.
So broke the hip in 2011, got the full replacement in 2013, basically on pain pills the whole time. Okay, and that causes a lot of problems in your body and your heart and your endocrine system, and it causes problems in my marriage, and it just makes you acidic. It makes you real acidic. Now, I've learned later that being acidic versus being alkaline, that's the whole thing. So, for example, you can be angry in an anaerobic state, okay? Now, that's hardwired into us. That's a biological safety mechanism. The reason why? For a million years, you would go down to the lake or the river to get some water, and a saltwater crocodile would clamp on your head and try and take you underwater.
Sure.
So you had to fight, or maybe a boa constrictor, or maybe even your next door neighbor tried to strangle you. You had to be able to fight off an attack without being able to breathe. Okay, so we have that ability.
Yep.
But it also, you can't be happy in an anaerobic state. Okay, so think about that for a second. Like, happiness requires oxygen.
Okay.
But not just shallow breathing. Now, we talked about this earlier, Wim Hof. Wim Hof refers to his exercise as breath. What?
I don't know.
Breath
work.
Breath work.
Yeah.
breath work. Okay, follow me here. So you need oxygen to be happy. So happiness, if we were to do a little symbolic thing, happiness is A, right? Happiness requires B, oxygen. Okay, and oxygen requires work.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't happiness require work?
Yep,
then?
absolutely. Yeah.
So is not happiness a muscle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. That's why they say you can't be happy all the time.
Well, so you could be if you kept your blood oxygenated all the time and didn't drop into sick. By the way, cancer can't exist in an alkaline state.
Right. Yep.
So now it comes, remember I said cracking the code to happiness, reversing, age reversing. Like that's where I'm trying to spend my day, just cultivating, maintaining that happiness level, that oxygen level, because I'm a better person. I want to expand. I want to build. I want to help more people, right? I mean,
Sure.
back to what we do for a living, help people.
It's really interesting, and I love that you do that. I want to get more into that. What would you say have been the main things, is it cold plunge? We were talking a little bit before the show, right? So, and we didn't get
breathing.
some of that on the show, and I want to kind
breathing.
Okay.
It's all breathing.
Everything's breathing.
Yeah, because cold water. So they asked Wim Hof, who's your master? So by the way, how did I figure all this stuff out? Little piece here, little piece there, little piece here, little piece there. Piece from 20 years ago when I played college basketball. 20, you know what I mean? Like it's like, and forever I was the guy that was so into all these different things, and everyone thought I was nuts. What do you ancient mysteries and why do you like this and why do you like that, and just get focused on business finance or something. I was like, I don't know, I kind of like all this weird stuff. But now I'm taking all those bits and pieces and I'm sort of filling in the missing links, right? So for example, like some of it's Gary, some of it's Wim, some of it's Troy Casey, my various coaches, but like they'll all have a different way of saying similar things, and then I can build in the missing piece, because I'm not I grew up with hippie parents. Okay.
Yep.
But I'm kind of like an all-American hippie, right? I was like the clean cut golden boy, played basketball, but I also was kind of like, like to have fun and listen to the Beatles and stuff. And so, but my parents weren't financially, like they didn't pour into me financially. Like they didn't, they maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it wasn't a thing. It wasn't important. And so for me, I think a lot of this health stuff, a lot of the meditation stuff, people get turned off to it because it's kind of got that hippy dippy, granola foo-foo vibe to it, right? And we're in a real estate industry. There's a lot of, alpha types. I mean, male and female, but I mean, everyone's an alpha in real estate, right? And, and then when you try and introduce something like breath work, it gets a little like, we're going to get naked and dance around the bongo fires, and I don't think so, man. That's not for me. I'm a truck driver. I'm all business. I play sport. It's like they're not into it. And so I'm trying to bring kind of a sporty businessman brand to sort of the health and wellness space.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to merge the real estate with the health. Really, I mean, what does the word wealth come from? Well, health.
Right.
I mean, that's the word wealth.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't be healthy. You can't be wealthy without being healthy.
Right. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I love I've kind of always talked about it, but I love, you're obviously, way ahead of where I am, but I'm on my journey, and but it's really cool.
But not really, because I'm trying to repair damage that I probably did from 25 to 40.
Maybe I can avoid
so
some of that.
Dude, if I would have imagine a 27-year-old Brian Culhane armed with Wim Hof and Gary Brecka and 10X. I mean, I knew none of that stuff.
Right. Incredible.